Hi everyone, and welcome to our next pre-recorded lesson for CEM. This is obviously block 5 and we're going to be going through the content of lesson number 7. So we're going to be focusing predominantly on English, but we're obviously going to be doing a bit of verbal reasoning as well. We've got a comprehension to look at, but we've also got lots of word related questions that we're going to cover off with you. So these videos are certainly the perfect tonic if you're unable to attend our live lessons. We hope you are able to attend our live ones, but if not, you can obviously watch these back. But they are also very, very useful if you need to pause them and look back at the information, or certainly if you find getting things organised and things ready and it makes it easier to watch the pre-recorded lesson, then please do. But if you are able to join our live lesson, we would love to see you there. So looking forward to going through this video with you. Just a little bit of housekeeping first of all. You're very much used to seeing me in the bottom right hand corner, but what we're actually going to do for these videos is actually have Billy the bookworm there, and hopefully that will mean you don't get distracted. So just a reminder, this is for CEM, this is year 5, this is lesson 7, and I have got there in the title verbal reasoning, but we will also be doing some English as well. So I'll just add that in because it will be a sort of a mixture of English and verbal reasoning. So we're going to have a little look at what we're going to be covering off. These are our lesson plans. Often within the lesson plans we have other games and activities, but of course these are a little bit more difficult to do at this time. But if you do have Whiz Match at home, it's a brilliant game for synonyms and building up. There's also an antonyms version and a maths version as well. So if you've got Whiz Match, brilliant, do play that with your families. We've also got a spelling test to do to start with. So as you can see down here, I'm going to be focusing on antonyms today. And we're also going to do some comprehensions. Marie Curie, we're going to be finding out about Marie Curie, very famous scientist and someone who we've got to be very thankful for. And we're going to go through a comprehension about her. And then we're going to also do some word-related questions as well. So, shall we make a start? So we're going to have a look at, this is just a reminder of what we're going to be doing, comprehension questions, also building up a greater knowledge of synonyms as well. But as I said earlier, we are going to commence with a spelling test. So this is a good time to pause the video, make sure you got your spelling book ready, maybe write the numbers 1 to 10 down the side. I know our tutors are desperate to give you loads of tokens, so when they see you, we'll be able to give you lots of tokens for the work that you've done. So let's have a little look and see what we've got first of all. So hopefully you're ready, your pencil is poised and you're ready to start. Number 1, write the word squander. Squander. To waste, that means to waste. So you waste money or time, squander. Number 2, the opposite of squander is to hoard, to collect, to hoard lots of things. Hoard. Sometimes you talk about a hoarder. But write the word hoard. Number 3, a word that you may have come across in your science lessons before, transparent. Write the word transparent. The opposite of transparent, when you are not able to see through it, this is number 4, please write the word opaque. I will read all the words at the end again, just in case you've missed any. Number 5, write the word loiter. If you're loitering, sort of going slowly, loitering, not going very quickly. Loiter. Number 6 is hasten. Hasten, to go quickly, obviously the opposite of loitering. Number 7, we've got industrious. If you're working really hard, and we know teacher right students are very industrious. The opposite of industrious is lazy, so to be idle. So write the word lazy for number 8. Next word in the spelling test is abundant, to have lots of something, plentiful amount, abundant. And the last one is scarce, so not having very much of something, a scarce amount. So abundant and scarce. I'm going to read those through again just in case you missed them, and then we'll see and mark them and see how you got on. So number 1, squander. Number 2, hoard. Number 3, transparent. 4 was opaque. 5, loiter. 6, hasten. 7, industrious. 8, lazy. 9, abundant. And the last one was scarce. So hopefully you've managed to write all of those down. shall we now reveal what those answers were? So if you still need a bit more time, pause the video, but I am going to reveal now what those answers were. So there we go. So we've got squander, hoard, transparent, opaque, loiter, hasten, industrious, lazy, abundant, I have to remember the bun in abundant, and scarce. So do record down how many you got right, and then what we can do is certainly give you some tokens when we see you again. Guys, well done. Brilliant work on your spellings. Please now learn test 4s for your next lesson and make sure you learn your synonyms. Right, let's move into the main part of the lesson. So as we did say to you earlier, we're going to be learning about Marie Curie, and we're going to be finding out a bit more about this amazing lady in a comprehension task. So you need to be on page 61, and this is in the CGP book, and this is obviously the age 10 to 11 book. Don't get confused with your closed book, but you wouldn't find it in your closed book. So do have a look in your verbal reasoning CEM CGP book. And when you go to page 61, this is what you'll see. Actually got a picture there of Marie Curie in the corner. And I'm just going to read down through this information. You can follow it in your books. And we're just going to find out a little bit more about Marie Curie. Marie Curie's scientific achievements made her one of the most famous scientists of the 19th and 20th centuries. Her research impacted not only the fields of physics and chemistry, but also medical science, such as cancer treatment. The youngest of 5 children, Curie was born in Poland in November 1867. As it was illegal for women to go to university in Poland, Curie moved to France in 1891 to study at the University of Paris. Once there, she lived with her sister Bronya, who financed her education. As Marie had done for her, in July 1893, Curie obtained a degree in physics, and then her second degree a year later. In 1894, Curie met fellow physicist Pierre Curie, with whom she worked closely, and married in 1895. One of their most notable discoveries was that of radium, a substance that was later used for sterilizing infected wounds in the treatment of cancer. In 1903, Curie was awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics for her discoveries. She was the first woman ever to achieve this prestigious award. She was also the first female professor at the University of Paris, succeeding in her husband's position after he died in an accident in 1906. She received her second Nobel Prize, this time in chemistry, in 1911, making her the first person to win twice. These were groundbreaking accomplishments, as women were often shunned from education and the field of science at the time. After the First World War broke out in 1914, Curie's work was put on hold as she put all her efforts into the treatment of wounded soldiers. She created mobile X-ray units which she used on the front line, enabling her to quickly diagnose injuries such as gunshot wounds and broken bones, saving many lives. In 1930, the Marie Curie Hospital opened in the UK, offering cancer treatments that Curie's discoveries have made possible. This hospital eventually became a cancer care charity, which still operates today. So guys, hopefully you were able to read that down through as well. If you were following it with me, maybe you were underlining key things as you were going down through, anything that you felt was important. As with many non-fiction passages, there were lots of dates that we may need to use when we're answering questions, but certainly underlining key things as you went down through. So, what we're going to do now, we are going to be looking back at the passage. This is where a lot of the answers are going to be found, but you can pause the video now and certainly go back here, pause the video, and we'd like you to answer the 7 questions that follow. So the 7 questions that follow on after that passage. So if you did need to reread it again, you can. Probably allow you, I would say, sort of 5 or 6 minutes to read it again and then answer those questions. Not 10 minutes as the test says, because there's obviously extra questions after that. Right, we're going to go and have a look now at the answers for those comprehension questions, and hopefully you'll be able to follow it through with us. So the first one, why did Marie Curie move to Paris? Well, if we go back to the text, it talks here about, as it was illegal for women to go to university in Poland, Curie moved to France in 1891 to study at the University of Paris. So it was illegal for women to go to university in Poland, so she made the decision to move to France. And why did Marie Curie move to Paris? It was possible for women to go to university there. To live with her husband? No, well, she hadn't met her husband yet, so no, that wasn't correct. She didn't want to study in Poland. Well, she would have done, but she wasn't allowed to. It was illegal. And she could earn more money. There's no mention of how much money she would have earned in France compared to Poland. Which of these statements cannot be true? That's the key thing to underline there. Well, you may remember seeing here that she was the youngest of 5 children, and her sister lived. She lived with her sister called Bronya. And if we go back to the questions, which of these statements cannot be true? Bronya was younger than Marie. Well, obviously that's not right, because Marie Curie, of course, was the youngest. So we're going to cross out that one. Bronya and Marie both left Poland, no. And Marie had 4 siblings. Bronya studied at the University of Paris, but those ones, of course, are all absolutely true. We wanted the one that wasn't. Number 3, how old was Marie Curie when she received her first degree? Let's go back to the text and see if we can work that out. So if we look at, that's where we need to look here. So in July 1893, Curie obtained a degree in physics, and then her second degree a year later. So we do need to do a little bit of maths here. So if we find 1893, so that's when she achieved her first degree in physics. And then if we have a look at when she was born, so she was born in 1867. And if we find the difference between those two dates, we're going to get 25. So she was 25 when she obtained her first degree. And there we go. That's why it's A and it's not B, C or D. Those numbers were quite close together, so hopefully your maths was accurate. According to the text, which of these statements must be true? Well, Pierre Curie was a professor at the time of his death. And if we go back and have a little look, we will see that it talks about she was also the first female professor at the University of Paris, succeeding her husband's position after he died in an accident. Succeeding means to sort of gain their title. So she became a female professor, and that means that he already held that position. So hopefully you understood that. So it must have been true that Pierre Curie was a professor at the time of his death. So that was C. So hopefully you got that one right. And let's have a look at the next ones. Question 5. Which of the following occurred before Pierre's death? Well, Marie received the Nobel Prize in Physics. Now, we know that she got that Nobel Prize in 1903. If we go back to the text, there we are, 1903 there. So she was awarded that prize, and then he actually died in 1906. So that then clarifies that Marie received the Nobel Prize in Physics before Pierre's death. And then Marie Curie, which of the following does the text not attribute to Marie Curie? Well, it's actually the discovery of X-rays. It does mention, if we go to the passage, it does mention down here that she created mobile X-ray units, which she used on the front line. But it does not state that she discovered X-rays. So that one is not something we can attribute to her. Attribute means link to her. Well, we can contributions to cancer treatment, the first female Nobel Prize winner, and the discovery of radium as well, but not the discovery of X-ray machines. Not the discovery of X-rays. She was actually using X-ray machines, wasn't she? And the last one, number 7. Why was a hospital named after Marie Curie? It treated cancer based on Curie's research. We go back to the text, it says down the bottom, in 1930, the Marie Curie Hospital opened in the UK, offering cancer treatments that Curie's discoveries had made possible. So we know then the answer for number 7 is A. Excellent, well done. Hope you managed to get most of those correct, so you can give yourself a mark out of 7. And we're going to move on now to the next part of your test, which was to find words with a double meaning. We've done quite a few of these throughout the weeks, and these are so important, these word-related questions that CEM do often put in their exams. So we need to mark the word that has a similar meaning to the words of both sets of brackets. And that's the key thing, making sure that it makes sense with both sets of brackets. There's some quite challenging words in some of these questions. Just actually looking at question 11, we've got vex and irk. You may not have heard of irk before. That means to annoy. So it might be a very good word for your word and meaning book, that that one. Foil or thwart, so to foil or thwart a plan, to kind of squash it. And a couple of other words that you may need to make sure that you know. What other words? We've got evident, freight. Freight is like cargo. That may be a word that you've not come across before. So it's a really good idea to have your word and meaning book on these kind of questions. So any words that you didn't know, you can easily put in your word and meaning book and write some definitions down. What I would do now is certainly pause the video. You've got 7 questions. Give yourself, I would say, about 2 minutes to just try and work down through those. These are the answers. So here we go. So we'll just quickly look down through why the answers are the answers. So ship can mean a sailing vessel or to send. So that's why it goes with both pairs. So remember, it has to go with both pairs, not just one. Question 9, clear can mean to be able to be seen through and easily understood. If it's obvious or explicit, it can be clear. Question 10, we've got ground. So ground can mean to be made into small particles or the surface of the earth. Number 11, we've seen vex and irk. So that can mean to frustrate or annoy. And we've also got to prevent from something from succeeding. So as I was saying earlier, foil or thwart a plan. So the answer was frustrate. Just making sure that those words go with both pairs. Daring, heroic, enduring, confront. And of course, brave goes with both because brave can be courageous or it can also mean to withstand something, to endure it. Number 13 was faint. Faint can mean to become unconscious or not vivid. It's not very clear. So we've got indistinct, unclear, collapse and pass out. And then the last one, payment and instalment, put and place, and the word that we need to put with both is deposit. Because a deposit can mean a sum of money paid in advance or to set down in a specific place. Guys, I hope you've done well with those. Let's now have a look at the next set of questions, and these were reshuffled sentences. So we're fairly familiar, I think, with reshuffled sentences now, but just a reminder, and these are good videos just to pause, read down through, make sure you know all these key points. So remember, don't write out the sentence or number the words if you're stuck, because you don't really have time to do that. So I'd certainly suggest it's only if you have time, and on these you don't. So don't put the numbers above the words on these, or write the sentence out because that's going to waste a lot of time. So now you're in a position to just eliminate the words and hopefully be left with the right word that's not required. So in these reshuffled sentences, if we look at this example, to I have lamp room my tidy. So sometimes pronouns can be a useful word to start off with. So I have to tidy my room. So the word we didn't require here was lamp. So these reshuffled sentences, questions 15 to 20, these are your next set of questions that you need to work through. So what we would suggest is that you pause the video again, and then we'll reveal what those answers were. So don't forget to look for pronouns, maybe a proper noun to get the sentence started, and don't forget to eliminate, cross through the words you don't need. Read it as it's written first, so read it to sort of understand in your mind what should it say, and then strike through those words. It might be a bit of trial and error. Sometimes you might make a mistake and try again. Certainly if there are sort of 2 verbs or 2 adjectives and you're not quite sure which one comes first, trial it out, and then hopefully you'll be left with a word that you don't need. So hopefully you've had a go at that, and these are the answers. And there they are. Now what we have done is we have typed out the sentence for you. So you've got the sentence underneath, but hopefully it's very clear by the highlighted words, the words that were not required. So we've got sleeping, yesterday, cook, last, she and it. So hopefully you've managed to mark those, and hopefully you've done really well. Interestingly on these, look, we have got lots of pronouns that come at the beginning. Got the article the as well. It's a common way of starting the sentence. It's really important that you've also included the verb in all the sentences, because of course without the verb it wouldn't be a sentence. So hope you've done well on those. Let's have a look down through the next set of exercises. You now need to go to test 18 in the same book, and this is on pages 65 to 67. And we're going to have a little look at the first little exercise. And this is an insert the letter close passage, or partial words these are sometimes called, and this is all about Mount Everest. So what you had to do was put the letters in the gaps, so hopefully you've been able to do that, and we would suggest you pause the video now. What we would always suggest, use the letters that you've got, read beyond the gap, think about what would make sense. If you can't do one, maybe leave it, come back to it later, and certainly when you read it all through, at the end, when you've done it all, it should all flow and be really fluent when you're reading it through. But I think certainly a lot of the letters that are given to you do give you a big clue, but try and put that word in context. So those are the answers. So hopefully you did well on that particular exercise, and you can just double check. We've put in the whole word, of course, but you need to make sure that you slot in the letters that were required. So just going to quickly read this down through, and then we're going to move on to the next activities. With an elevation of 8,848 metres, Mount Everest is the highest mountain on the planet. This fact has enticed, which means sort of encouraged, many mountaineers to attempt the dangerous expedition to the mountain summit. Aside from the dangers of avalanches, falls and frostbite, the lack of oxygen at high altitudes can result in unconsciousness and even death. To minimise these risks, climbers undertake intensive training prior to the climb, and there have been numerous successful attempts to ascend Everest since records began in 1921. However, there is some doubt over who exactly achieved this feat first. In 1924, a group of mountaineers attempt to climb Everest, but they never returned. It is thought to be possible that they reached the top, which would have made them the first people to have done so. To this day, it is unknown whether they succeeded. Let's have a look at the next exercise that you've got, and this is an odd one out. So you need to find the word that is different from the other three, or is not associated to the other three. And we're just going to go down through now and have a look at those answers. So let's see what the answers were. So again, hopefully you've paused it, maybe given yourself sort of a minute and a half or so to work down through those 5 questions. And those are the answers, and let's just discuss why. Sustain, the other 3 mean to start something, so that was the odd one out there. 14, anticipate, the other 3 mean to think about a past event, so to reminisce, that's a good word for your word meaning book, is to remember or recall an event. If you reminisce about the past, think about the past. 15, invite, lure and attract all to go together, because they all mean to sort of come together, to draw towards, whereas repel, you might have done magnetism before. When you repel something, of course, you push it away. Then we've got 16, decode, encrypt, decipher and interpret. And all 3, decode, decipher and interpret, mean to discover the meaning of something. Number 17. Now, if you didn't know what ardent meant, ardent means very enthusiastic. So that's what zealous and vehement mean. But sentimental is when you're sentimental about something. Again, you sort of look back in the past and you treasure something. You're very sentimental about something that's happened. Or an object you could be sentimental over. So number 17, sentimental, because the other 3 all mean enthusiastic. If you didn't know any of those words in that particular section, certainly put them in your word and meaning book. And let's have a look at the next ones. These were similar in meaning, so we're really thinking about synonyms. So you need to find the word that is similar to the word on the left. Let's have a look at 18. Now this might have been a new word for you, mirth. Mirth means to be amused, so to have amusement. So those are synonyms. 19, we've got, just make sure, I will bring the answers up here, might be easier. Here we go. So we've got snatch, and what do we have here? So to take violently, to wrestle, to snatch, to take off something violently. That's why those 2 would be synonyms. Question 20, we've got restricted, so limited and restricted, both mean with constraints. And then we've got bleak and desolate implies that it's bare. So you might, if you walked into a room and there was no furniture or anything, you might say, oh, it's desolate, it's bleak, it's bare, there's nothing there. But you can also describe things like weather as being bleak. Not necessarily weather being desolate, but desolate and bleak have the same meaning. And then imminent and impending, because they mean about to happen. So if you didn't know what imminent meant, about to happen would be a good word to put in your word and meaning book. Just writing that out there so you can write the definition for imminent if you need to. Guys, well done if you managed to get all of those. Those were quite challenging. Okay, let's have a look at the next one. So what have we got here? We've got similar in meaning again. So we've had all these already today. Let's have a look at what the answers were. And we've got elaborate, because elaborate can mean to give more information or complex. 24 is perfect, and that can mean to make better or to be faultless. 25 is crop, because it can mean to cut short or cultivated plants. And then alcove, nook, break, and interval. What word goes with those? It's recess. Recess can mean a space in a wall or a rest from working. So well done if you got all of those. So quite challenging vocabulary there, but well done if you managed to get all those right. So there is a little extension activity if you want to have a go at puzzle 4 here. These are certainly a little bit of fun, so just bring those up. Now, these are puzzles that you can try and complete. They're all compound words, but they give you a picture and then you have to work out what that picture is of. So first one we've got, so if you want to pause the video, you can have a go at all of them. So it's kind of, what do you see? Well, milk shaking, so it's milkshake. This is backfire. Then we've got butterfly, catwalk, waterfall, widespread, because wide is spread, written widely, which is quite a cool one. Haircut, daybreak, and then we've got household. So guys, well done on those questions. Just a reminder about what your homework is. So it's to focus on test 19 and test 20. If you get a chance to do the closed passages, it would be a brilliant idea, and that's in your You Could. So thank you very much for watching this video. Hopefully it helped and you're able to work down through all those different activities. We look forward to seeing you, hopefully though, in our live sessions, but hopefully this pre-recorded video was useful. Take care. Bye.